Tennessee.
That's where my grandma lives, maybe.
You don't talk to your grandma?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's not gonna call, the little guy from Nashville. I've left him 2 messages
Really?
now. Well, how many of y'all live?
I don't know.
Service is terrible. I can't hardly do anything.
Okay, we're missing William.
He's not gonna be here. Is he gonna be here, Rosemary? He's not gonna be here.
Okay, I'm gonna call the Loudon County Commission workshop for April 17th, 2023 to order. First up is Jim Jenkins with a zoning change.
Tammy's got one.
It's up here, sir.
It's already up there.
Sorry,
Hey,
sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I didn't know I had to sign in.
Larry, you want me to add you to the
Please.
bottom? Okay, Jim, go ahead.
Sorry about that. This is a resolution amending the zoning map of Loudon County, Tennessee pursuant to chapter 7:7-105 of Tennessee Code annotated to rezone from R1 suburban residential district to C2 general commercial district, Loudon County tax map 007, parcel 112.00, located at 12570 Highway 70, Loudon County, Tennessee, situated in the 5th legislative district. Planning Commission recommendation to disapprove. The vote is 8-0.
Mr. Chairman, I believe I can speak for myself only. I won't speak for Mr. Morrison, but we will concur with the planning commission on denying that rezone.
Okay, I concur too. Okay,
Thank you all.
anyone wish to speak for or against the zoning change? Okay, next up is public comments. John Marks.
This is in reference to Little Italy. Am I at the right time and place?
Yes, sir.
Speak up.
Okay. How many of you commissioners own businesses?
Own.
Or own or work?
Own.
Okay. What would happen if you didn't have lights? Or what would happen if your water and your sewer was turned off? Or what would happen, if any of your utilities were turned off? My name's John Martz, I live in Telco Village. I was on the board of directors of Pennsylvania Restaurant Association. And one of the things that made a restaurant stay open was having either a liquor or beer and wine license. It's been proven that if you don't have that, either your costs or your cost of food is going to be up so far that you're not going to make a profit and more than likely go out of business. The one thing that I noticed about this whole situation is the fact that the library itself has beer for one of their events that's sold. Beer, brats, books, and band. Now, if that's the case, why would Little Italy be denied a liquor or a beer license? The library itself sells beer at one of their events. That's all I got. I mean, I think that's pretty evident what should or shouldn't be done. Thank you.
Thank you. And John, the library used to be on the corner where the theater is right now.
I know, and they had a license, didn't they, or something?
Yes, they did. Jim DeRuzzi. Jim is coming up. He is the man behind our place. And I wanted him to tell you a little bit about our place.
Thank you, Henry. I want to thank the commission in advance for your continued support of our place. I know some of you are new, so put together a packet for each of you to look at. In that packet, there's a picture of what our place is if you haven't been out there to see it. And then there's also a trifold in the packet which talks about our programs and what we do out at the facility that you can look at as you have time. I want to go back, once you get your packet.
Thanks, sir.
The second page under is a historical timeline. And on July 6th of 2020, I was here in front of you all and talked about an aspirational idea called Our Place. At that time, it was a concept, we were just getting started. And 11 months later, on July 15th, we broke ground with the help and support of our community. Then, 9 months later, we opened our doors. In December of last year, we were able to pay off our mortgage, and that's 13 months after we opened our doors. Now I'm here in front of you tonight to tell you that we need to expand the facility, that we've been very successful, that we've reached our enrollment goals, and are ready to do more for the county and the area around us. If you would look at the next page underneath, I put together an information packet for you, or an information sheet for you. And when you look at just Loudon County alone, there's about 7,100 residents that are either impacted by the disease itself or are caregivers for someone in the community that have Alzheimer's. Now, in comparison, the numbers sound a little bit small, which is in the bottom part of that sheet that I gave you. But in our first year of operation, we helped 34 different participants that have been impacted by the disease. We've helped over 175 caregivers in the county and countless others through our community relations program and caregiver workshops. If you flip over to the back, I put some learnings from our first year in operation. And there are three main takeaways from that. One, the variation of the disease itself and how it progresses makes it very difficult for us in planning schedules and executing our programs on a day in and day out basis. Second is the mobility issues that impact the participants that are in our program, and just their ability to get around and do things. And third is the square footage models that were given to us when we initially began to look at the program from the state, which assigned 40 square feet per individual as the model that they used, which at that point told us we could have up to 21 participants a day in the building. Well, based on the things that I've just walked you through, we learned the one thing is that 40 square feet works great if you're in a child daycare facility, but it does not work for seniors in an adult day center. The mobility issues that they have, which involve canes, wheelchairs, walkers. Also, when you look at the number of volunteers, the state said that I needed to have one trained volunteer for every 8 people in the building. Well, you can't run a building with people who have Alzheimer's with one person for every 8 that are in there. And we've been anywhere from 1 to 2 to 1 to 4, but never any worse than that. So you take the mobility issues, you take the number of people that are involved in running the programs, and then bring in experts to work with the people during the day. It's awful hard to operate in 868 square feet. And the model is more like 70 square feet for every person that's in it, which limits my ability to run a quality program for the county with 12 people a day and not being able to go above that level. It also hurts the operational integrity of the building and our ability to meet our financial needs. So if you look at the next thing, there's a little chart I put together for you in the packet. I'm gonna walk you through a little bit about our financials. So if you go to the first column, which says fiscal year '23, you go down to the bottom, you'll see $120,000 in red. That's what I need to raise this year to keep the facility running and meet the operational needs, or total expenditures, which are the next line up, which are $291,000. Now, out of that $291,000, with the 12 people I have a day in the facility, I'm gonna be short that $120,000. So that's where the difference is, and that's what I need to raise this year. And I will raise that. That's not an issue, and that's not why I'm here today. I just want to point out the financials and what we're doing and why we're doing it. If you go to the next column, it says at the top, 12 participants, no change. So if I don't do anything next year, my operating loss next year would be $65,000. Now, the reason for the difference is that I guaranteed everybody who's in the building I would not raise their rates for the first year, and that'll go into November or December before we get to that. And in the first year of operation, you don't start out with 12 people a day, and it took us until now to ramp up to that. So there's a little bit of deficit on our intake for this year, but next year, when we're at full capacity, based on where we're at now, which doesn't do anybody any good, only being able to help 12 people in the building on an ongoing basis. So we looked at a number of alternatives, met with some architects to talk about what we could do. The next column over says if I have 15 associates or 15 participants, well, that was the cheapest alternative we could do, and that would be to enclose the porch on back. That doesn't do us any good either, because then the deficit is almost as great as what it is. So when we built this, we built it on a model that we would have 20 people minimum in the building a day. We would be able to break even within 3 years. I'll need to expand the building by 1,000 square feet to be able to break even within 3 years, and still can do it by March of 2025. We raised our rate as much as I didn't want to do that to $75 a day ongoing. And 20 people a day will throw off enough income for us to be able to show a profit and start to pay down the loan I'm about to take on Thursday of this week. So we're real positive on where we're headed and why we're doing it. In the packet, there's a smaller version of the chart that's in front of me, which will give you an idea of the block plan. And this is purely beginning process of looking at that. Main Street Architecture, which is out of Madisonville, is working on blueprints for me right now that we can go back and reaffirm and realign what we're doing. So what's in black is what's existing in our building, and what's in red is what we're proposing to do. So right now, the porch, which is out on the right side of the building, it's got an EX in it, which is the exercise, which we're going to designate as an exercise area. That will be the pass-through into the new area of the building. We built that wall on the right side so that we could always expand this facility. So what we want to do is have an exercise room that you can pass through, add additional storage, and put a galley kitchen in there, because the people who are on the right side of the building need to have the ability to do things without interrupting the people on the left side of the building when you go through. And then add the porch and kick the fence out. So we're planning to do that this year. We hope that we'll have the plans back, and then with the city approval, somewhere in the next 90 to 120 days to break ground again to build out this facility as we go through. It's not a small cost that we're undertaking. The last page outlines what those costs are. I want to say that this is a very rough draft of what the cost would be. It was a best guess from the architects that it would cost us about $300 a square foot to build this facility out. So we used that to lay out what we were looking at. So you can see the bottom line number, which includes a 5% contingency for anything that happens out there. So we're real positive. Feedback on those that have participated, we have not lost one person because they haven't liked the program or wanted to be involved in it. The feedback has been unbelievably positive. The word is spreading, and I just want to be able to help more people in our community. And that's what we're trying to do, and that's why we're willing to take the risk again to expand out this facility and have started a campaign to do that now. And just to let you know, Sweetwater Hospital has agreed to build the exercise room area for me and bear the cost of the equipment that goes in it. So there is support beyond Loudon County right now to help us because of the need that's out there. So that's it. I just wanted to give you an update on where we were. I came here to you 3 years ago with an idea, and we're living it right now. So it's been a great ride. Thank you.
Well done, Jim.
Through what was the lady's name who moved back to Arizona? Who moved back to Arizona, whose idea this was?
Oh, Sue Newman.
I sat down with Sir Newman 4 or 5 years ago, and just what he's been able to do with his crew in the past 3 years is remarkable.
Thanks,
So, good job.
I can answer any questions. if
Is
you have.
this, do you house residents or they just come there for,
No, they come from 8:30 to 4:30,
Okay.
Monday through Friday.
okay,
And I'm willing, anytime any of you would like to come to the facility, I'd be more than happy to take you through and show
Okay.
you what we do.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
very commendable what you've done, and this is
Thank you.
something that Loudon County desperately needs.
Thank you.
And hats off to you guys, this is amazing.
And I want to clear something up. This isn't just for Tellico Village. You accept, never was, accept everybody.
Just happened to be there because we were granted the land there, that's the only reason the facility ended up there. We had a couple other alternatives, and at the time, prior to COVID, this was the cheapest alternative. It turned out to be the most expensive alternative. So,
And the next closest facility or senior daycare center is all up in Farragut, Concord Methodist Church.
yeah,
So
it's
that's
45
what we need.
minutes away. There's nothing here in Loudon, Monroe, or even Blount County now. Blount County's facility closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Bob? Come on up.
Thank you, I'm Rob McCoy, Vice Chair, and I joined this organization 7 months ago. Kind of a volunteer on the Finance Committee, and you do that for a short time, pretty soon you get more responsibilities, and suddenly I'm Jim's Vice Chair. And I gotta tell you, I've done a couple of these nonprofit activities, and this is truly amazing, the work that they've done. We have a first-class facility in our community that is as good as any that we've seen. The other very important point here, one is nonprofit. So Jim talks about profit. That will go away because we'll be able to keep our costs down. As our costs go up, these extra people we're bringing in, we can offset that by hopefully even lower costs for the participants. There's this expansion that we're doing is necessary for us to be financially viable. It wasn't our plan. It wasn't our plan even 8, 9 months ago to expand, but we see the only path forward for us to provide the first class work that needs to happen is for this expansion. So it's a real opportunity for our county. And again, there's only like 43 of these in the state.
Actually,
We don't
there's
take care of them.
41, 2 closed this year already.
Yeah, and that includes nonprofit and profit. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ralph. Blake Moore.
Who am I get?
Blake Moore, AKA Bill Ballinger, Deputy Chief.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chairman, and Loudon County Commission, just a real brief update. My name is Blake Moore, and I've been continuing to do my due diligence on our website. In my current opinion, a new website may not be needed, as the current website is quite honestly a really simple site. With the HTML design, with CSS style pages, we could do a refresh and create a more appealing and user-friendly site. I've got some examples of some sites that, quite honestly, we could make our site look better than theirs and not spend a whole lot of money. The file structure is currently set up to allow really easy document uploads, and that means we can begin to implement additional information immediately. I guess that's part of my frustration when we look at some of the situations like where the sanitation committee has not had the meeting minute updates in months. And quite honestly, as important as that has been lately for all of us here in the county with the information that's going on around the sanitation committee, and I'm just using that as an example, for that not to have those meeting minutes updated, that's to me a travesty. My proposal, as I've shared with some of you, is really a 5-step simple approach. We need to assign a communications person to reach out to all the defined content holders, whether it's commissions, committees, et cetera, and request all of the non-published historical and contract records. Work with the person that maintains the current file structure for documents. And again, it's real simple. It's DDT or DTD, PHP, PDF files, et cetera, nothing complicated. We need to create, and this is, I think, the most important, create best practices and time-sensitive process flows for submission and posting of the documents. We need to review the websites that I was mentioning earlier that are considered best in class. They all actually won awards, and none of them, when you look at them, you'll see they didn't cost a lot of money to make. For recommending changes to our current HTML and CSS structure, then after you do that, that just gets us up and running without, again, spending a lot of money. Then you do basically discovery, develop a business case for whatever else might be needed, find the requirements, develop a questionnaire, send the questionnaire to potential stakeholders, review the proposals, and make a decision. That's it. Questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Larry Wooten, come on, here's the owner of Little Italy.
Lawrence Wooden, I am the owner of Little Italy. And 4 years ago, I came before this workshop commission to try to get because I had been turned down by the beer board for a beer license at my restaurant. I, at that time, wrote a letter to the mayor, which he's been very helpful in trying to get us a beer license, but unfortunately he has no control over this body. I have a copy of that letter I've given to Mr. Randolph there. It was 4 years old, but everything is still pertains the exact same. We're denied a beer license because we're less than 2,000 feet, which is the county restriction for distance between church, cemetery, daycare, hospital, and whatever.
Library.
The library.
We were at a previous location, a much more desirable location, down right there at the only traffic light in Tellico Village, and we moved to another location because we were right across the street from First Baptist Church. Couldn't get a beer license, so we moved to some building that had a beer license since the day it was built. But all of a sudden, we go to get a license and we're denied because they said, well, its grandfather had run out because the previous owner, who wasn't allowed to get a beer license because of a background record, didn't apply for one, and so grandfather ran out. And so now I've been told for 4 years that there's nothing that can be done. Yet, 2,000 feet, being the county restriction, is to protect children to be away from a place that sells liquor. Well, in the city of Lenore City, it's 150 feet where all the children live. In the city of Loudon, it's 300 feet where all the children live. But out in the county, where the chickens and the cows live, there's 2,000 feet, and we are denied a license to remain viable in this business. I mean, we have fought 2 years of COVID, now we're fighting massive inflation. We have over 25 clubs that come and use our facilities for free, from military clubs to conservative clubs, Democrat clubs, and all the various. We support 25 different charities in the village. We're a corporate sponsor of the Kiwanis and the Lions, who do so much for this county. Yet we are on the edge of just closing the door, because we've been fighting this for 4 years. And I've been told many, many times for over this 4-year period that they would look into it, they would see what they could do, they would see if they could get us a variance, they would see if they could get us a reinstate grandfather or something. Because there's just, we're in a retirement community. There are no children. And you can look at where the bus stops are and see how many children and where they are. There's not any child miles from us. And the library is not even open. We don't serve lunch, we only serve dinner and breakfast. But it's not even open when we would be providing a beer service. because the library closes at 4, we open at 5. And we have lost all of our sport clubs, football clubs, everybody who used to come and sit TV and order food because they have to drag their own beer in because we can't sell anything. And they might buy a hamburger, but then they'll sit there for 4 hours and we have nothing to sell while they sit there for 4 hours. But I would ask that something be looked into, some variance, some kind of change, some kind of reinstatement of grandfathering, something that can help us resolve this problem. We're the only restaurant, except for the one we moved out of, which is right across the street from the church, that doesn't have a beer license, and we just can't compete. And the whole reason, like I say, we moved, and I was told before by Mr. Shaver that we should have done our homework. Well, there's no way you know until you get into a place, start a business, put in for a permit, and then get denied and find out, oh, you're denied for this reason. I mean, there was no way to do your homework because we moved into a building that had a license for the previous 28 years, and that was our homework. But anyway, if there's something that can be done, and I do appreciate all your help, Mr. Mayor, and I do have a copy of that letter that I've given for that I wrote you 4 years ago. It has a lot of information. This is the only library in the entire United States that's not government owned. It's a private owned library. They used to charge a membership fee to go with this library. But somewhere down the road, the county put a paid librarian, which in return it became a public library. And, but they still is a commercial building. It's run by a board of directors. It has a CEO. It has fundraisers to pay their mortgage. They sell beer at their fundraisers to pay their mortgage. And yet we can't sell beer to pay our lease, but they can sell beer to pay their mortgage. So I would hope that something can be done so that we don't go out of business and all our groups that we support and everybody that has their meetings at our place lose this place of business. Thank you.
There is nobody that I've burnt more jet fuel on trying to help Larry out and hit the wall every time. Beer permit lapse. As you all know, Donna Akey owns the strip mall. She let it lapse. Once you go 6 months, can't get it back. The library was settled in Sevier County, although there's some confusion about it. Some say it's a library in Sevier County. You'll hear more probably. Got it because they don't have children. Well, we don't have any children. Well, we have 138, the last count I had from the school system in the village, but it's mainly a retirement, older community. I gotta be careful. So Larry, thank you.
Can I say one more word?
Sure.
In defense of Donna Akey, because everybody always brings up that Donna Akey let the permit lapse. The permit had to be put in for by the business owner, and Donna Akey was not the restaurant owner. So she could not put in, even though, because she was not running the restaurant. She was just leasing the property. So everybody says she let it lapse, but it's the person that she rented it to who could not qualify for it, and that's why it lapsed.
There's nobody in this room tonight I would like to help more than Larry.
So he can't get this because he's too close to the library, is that correct?
Yeah, he's within 2,000 feet.
And there's no type of variance?
Well, hold on,
There was a case
out of Sevier County
7 feet.
that classified a library as a place of public gathering. I no doubt, I'm 100% sure that library, whatever it is, it's not like our Telephone Village library. It's just, it's apples and oranges. And that's the whole kicker. I think Mr. Shaver has some more information on it. I think, me personally, I think it may be time to go before the chancellor and get an opinion on this. Because it's apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know if they sell it, they give it away for a donation or what, but the library can do wine and beer.
Right.
They literally can
That's
also
it,
sell it.
it's very
I'll
hypocritical.
point out that's illegal, just, y'all may want to quit saying that out loud, because that's not legal. You cannot sell beer without a permit anywhere. So just caution of that one.
Anyway, that's item number 2.
They give it away from the.
Can't give away alcohol.
Larry concluded the public comments, so it'll be up in just a few
I
minutes.
think somebody back there. wants-
I'd like to make clarification on that. I'm on the beer board, and I know what you have to go through to be able to get a beer license. And it is legal if you have a license, and it's legal if you follow the law. And the law dictates what you can do and you can't do. And the fact is, the reason he cannot get a license is because simply he's within so many feet of a library. There's only one case in this state that set that pace, and that was one in Sevierville.
That's correct.
That's the bottom line on it. Now, you can do a variance on this.
You cannot.
I'm sorry, but you can't.
You cannot.
The
I
state
promise.
can do a variance.
Well, you have to take that to the legislature
Okay,
if you want
I'm
to.
just telling you, it can be done. Now, you may not be able to do it, you yourself, but the state can do it. And it's already been done before, and we know where it's at. I'll be more than glad to discuss it with you. But I think it's time we look at this thing and say, maybe we need to move the marker. You know, people are drinking beer within the distance of that library now. You cannot tell me that that makes sense. They're selling beer right across the street from the Baptist church. And people are drinking beer at the benches out there behind the place. That doesn't make sense. And let me say the other thing that's near and dear to everybody's heart in this room. You're losing taxes. You get taxes off of those beer sales, and you're not getting any taxes. So I think you gotta look at it in an economical way, and look at it in a way that says, what's the right idea and what's the way to do it? Change the number. That's all you have to do. And that can stick to everybody out here then. That's all. That's all I gotta say. I think the man's put up with enough. You make your decision. I can't change your decision. But I can tell you on the beer board what we go through when we have to measure these things. And it's, sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Thank you,
But the
Ed.
law is the law.
Mayor? Mayor Bradshaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Had a visit from the IT auditor from the comptroller. I guess that's what the official title is. There's just some wording in our policy, when it comes to especially finance, that it's not overly clear. The wording it is that the passwords should be shared with only the direct supervisor. They want us to get away from that. With the change in policy, the supervisors would no longer have passwords for computers. The IT department would have a secure copy in case, in the event someone left, got terminated, or something more horrific than that. But it's just a slight change. Bob Bowman is working on the wording. As soon as he gets that back to me, then I'll be happy to distribute that out to the commission. But it's just, like I said, it's a few words we're going to change in our policy. And this is at the recommendation from the comptroller's office.
Okay. Chase Randolph, you're up now.
All right, I guess we can get right back into this. My number one concern here is a business that may be struggling, and I want to try to do whatever we can to make that right. And the hypocrisy of the library selling, giving away, whatever they're doing with alcohol there, and then literally not being able to sell it, bothers me. That's the reason I put this on the agenda for a conversation. And ultimately, if we can get you to a place to where you can sell beer, that's the end goal. Ever what road we take, I'm not particularly in favor of lowering the footage countywide. I don't believe you set a standard for everybody based on one instance. So we'll open it up. Anybody wants to talk? Go.
All right, Commissioner, I'll take at this point, if it's all right, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And I'm hoping what I can do is just shed just a little bit of light on the whole thing. A lot of miscommunication. So I'm gonna start with just the history of it. Back in the mid to late 90s, I attended a number of beer board meetings. I don't know if there was anybody else involved nowadays it was back then, but man, they were contentious. There were fist fights, there was arguments, both directions. You had the applicant mad because they didn't get what they want. You had the citizens very angry because they didn't get what they want. And the regulations may have been somewhere, they may have been something, but they were vague and subjective. In April of 2000, almost to the day, 23 years ago, the county commission finally adopted a comprehensive set of beer permit regulations. The highlights of those regulations were, it included, we had to have a newspaper ad for any beer permit. The property had to have a notice on the property for so many days prior to the hearing. The applicant had to provide a survey of the property showing his closest distance between any church, school, daycare, or other place of public gathering, or any private residential dwelling. We adopted let me clear up. We didn't. I wasn't on county commission in 2000, so let me kind of put that aside. I was not on the body at that time. They adopted a 2,000-foot rule from any church, school, daycare, place of public gathering. They adopted a 300-foot rule. These were all allowed by the state of Tennessee, not mandated. They're optional to adopt by the state of Tennessee. The 300-foot rule, which means if somebody applies for a beer permit and there's a residential dwelling within 300 feet of the facility, and the owner of that residential dwelling shows up and objects to the issuance of a beer permit, the permit will not be issued. We require background checks, and thus far, for 2 decades now, it's worked great. In the very recent time, we've had several instances where folks were seeking to have a beer permit and they were denied because they were within the 2,000 feet, whether at church, daycare, school, or whatever. They didn't get it. The community, beer board members will tell you, the community shows up for those sort of things when it lands in their community. So it's worked really good for a really long time. There's no subjectivity. If you go in for a beer permit and you meet the qualifications, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And I'll read you this little short part from state law right here. Once the 2,000-foot rule is adopted, it must be enforced uniformly, and discretionary application of the rule renders it invalid. Now that doesn't mean if the beer board violates it by 6 inches, it's gone. You can't enforce it anymore. Not 1,900 and so many feet, it's gone. You would have to adopt a new one. So our beer board over all these many years has been very conscious of not violating any of our adopted regulations. Like I said before, I wasn't on county commission, was adopted. I'm not on the beer board. Haven't been on the beer board since 2006 when I was on county commission the first time. So I've had nothing involved in this whatsoever, other than the fact that I've just got a lot of history of being involved in a lot of things in county government. So when it came to the restaurant we're discussing tonight, it went into a location that at one time did have a beer permit. I don't even remember what the business was, but it went away. And the state law, not a local law, the state law says if it ceases to have a permit at that location for 6 months, it would lose all grandfather protection, and then that facility falls underneath our regulations. So that's exactly what happened here. Then, when they went for their beer permit, I think it was probably June of 19, I think is when it was. The beer board attorney that was there, David, I think you were there then too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. David's the chairman of the beer board. He's in the back of the room there. It went before the beer board, and the beer board attorney, whose first name was Nate, I don't remember what his last name was, when they came up with their survey and all that, Nate said, you have a library, I think it was like 1,400 feet or something like that, I forget the exact numbers, said the library has been deemed a place, some libraries have been deemed a place of public gathering. And he is correct. And he cited the lawsuit of Boyd's Creek Enterprises versus Sevier County. This is from 2010. So in that case, it was tried in the local court, circuit court or chancery court, I don't know which one. And the question of whether or not the Sevier County the Seymour branch of the Sevier County Library was a place of public gathering was the topic all the way around. So I want to read you just short little paragraph out of the language of this lawsuit, and this was from the State Appellate Court. We agree the record wholeheartedly supports the trial court's conclusion that the Seymour branch of the Sevier County Library is a public gathering place. The affiant, Marty Hamilton, Sevier County Library Board trustee, and incorporated materials show that the Seymour branch is a place of public gathering which hosts summer reading programs with annual attendance of over 1,000 children, many concerts, club meetings, and other public meetings, that the community holds the Seymour branch's meeting room in high regard and depends greatly upon it as a safe public meeting place, and that the Seymour branch has become popular in catering to the community, that the library hopes one day to expand the size of the meeting room. This lawsuit says the Seymour branch of the Sevier County Library is a place of public gathering. It does not say every library in the state of Tennessee is. Just like cemeteries, some have been deemed, some have not been deemed places of public gathering. After you're denied a beer permit, anybody's denied a beer permit, they have a legal right to challenge that through Chancery or Circuit Court. Around here, it's usually Chancery Court. In my day, we've been challenged more than once in court. We've won, we've lost. It's depending on what a judge decides. I would be willing to, I don't know how strong I want to say this, I would be willing to predict that if you took this to Chancery or Circuit Court, and with the explanation that while the Seymour Library may very well have been deemed a place of public gathering, the Tellico Village Library is an entirely different facility that would not fall under the heading of a place of public gathering. That's going to be the decision of a lawyer, with a beer board, with a judge. Somebody out, we can't make the decision of whether or not that library is a place of public gathering. In July of 2019, had you gone to the chancellor, there's a very good chance he would have ordered issuance of the beer permit. We wouldn't be having this conversation. Going to Chancery Court it's not like going to the Supreme Court. It's not highly expensive. I'll be willing to bet in Tellico Village there are probably attorneys that would have gladly handled this for you. I think a first-year law student could have handled this one, because I myself feel there is a great difference between the Tellico Village Library and the Sevier County Library. I think it's apples and oranges. So the best way to help yourselves, to help you, sir, is to go have the chancellor look at the case by case. The importance to the rest of the county is the 2,000-foot rule. As I said, it has worked great for 23 years. It has protected a lot of places. Back when we did this room was full of the church folks, school folks, citizens. I will assure you that long ago, some it may have changed, may not. People are still very concerned about the sort of things that come in their community. There are no variances, there are no special exceptions, and I'll get with old Heidelman and straighten him out there in a little while, just kidding. And the only way you get a beer permit from Loudon County is if this body reduces the distance that we have now, and in my memory, I'm going to say 1,400 feet from your restaurant building down to the closest corner of the library. So we would have to do it for the entire county. I could never support that. I think I heard Chase even say something to that effect. We don't want to. You have an avenue, a prescribed avenue in state law of how to pursue this. I would strongly encourage. I don't even know that the county beer board attorney would challenge it that vigorously. I don't know that. I can't speak for the county attorney, but I know what I can read, and it says the Seymour branch of the Sevier County Library. It doesn't say the Tellico Village branch library. There's your option right there. If the judge rules you get a beer permit, you get your beer permit, our footage regulations stay intact, and everybody walks away happy. Looks like there's a good avenue for everybody on this one. That's the history, that's the options, that's kind of where That's what I can tell you just from being here for 25 years.
Larry, you should have a drag show for children, you can have that right downtown, you can't sell beer.
Well, understand now, the beer regulations inside the cities are different than the county.
Well, you can
Neither.
have a drag show for children, but you can't sell beer.
In the city, I guess you can, but in the cities, and let me correct you, Loudon or Little City, neither one, they don't have any buffer zones anymore. They completely eliminated them all just by issuing of the permits. Both also have liquor by the drink, which doesn't really affect beer, but inside a city where they sell liquor by the drink, if you got a liquor license, which anybody apparently can get a liquor license, you could potentially have a liquor by the drink, but if you were 300 feet from a church, you couldn't sell beer. So the cities at some point chose, well, since you have liquor license, we're just gonna eliminate all of our beer distance regulations. So differentiate between the cities and the county. What they do in their parts, we have no control over.
I know when I went before the beer board 4 years ago, and Mr. Shaver was there, even though he said he doesn't go to beer board meetings.
Well, I didn't say that.
Mr. Snodgrass, who was on the beer board at the time, said he'd been on the beer board 21 years, and it was the first time a commissioner had been come sitting in there, to make sure they knew that there was a library within this footage. But my point is, if the footage is to protect children, and the footage is 300 and 150 feet in the cities where the concentration of children are, why is it so much in the county? And you're the government here, you can change something if you wanted to.
So is it better like that?
That's
Is that
all.
what we're going, I mean, my point is, I think it's better the way we have it.
Yeah, and when I went to that beer meeting,
I don't think you need liquor on every.
Mr. Shaver was there, and the county attorney was there, and a lawyer for the beer board was there, and not a single soul mentioned to me that you could challenge this or take this up to Chancellor or nothing, which had a 30-day period that you had to challenge it. We didn't know nothing about that. We were told something like 90 days later, well, you should have challenged this. Well, we didn't know. No one at the time told us, hey, you can challenge this, you can take this to court, and people were there who knew this, and we didn't know. But all I know is that I was gonna try to take it to an attorney. They all wanted $18,000 to try to sue, which we didn't have that kind of money. And I was told, let the commissioners take care of it. Let Henry and David Mears at the time and the mayor, they're working on it. Let them take care of it. So we just kind of settled in to let them take care of it. Well, 4 years have gone by and nothing's been done. So, I mean, if it's, you know, if they're not gonna do anything, then I can accept that and we'll just close our doors, you know. But it seems to me that the government here, which you are the government, can do whatever you want if you want to.
Well,
And make these changes.
I think the distances are set to help all communities. So we have to keep that in mind. I mean, I've had 2 instances in the 4th district where folks have wanted beer permits that were within the 2,000 feet of a church. They were too close. They were denied, so they all came here. And I can guarantee you that this room was filled with folks out of my district that did not want beer sales in their community, where they come out on back roads or on a Saturday night, kids going up and down the roads and accidents and the road widths, and I've heard every story. So I think the 2,000 feet, in my opinion, has worked well. Now, I do hope that you could go in front of the chancellor and you could get some kind of reprieve on your situation.
Well, the way to go in front of the chancellor now is we have to apply again for another beer permit, go through the same rigmarole and pay the fees.
As far as I know,
and get turned
I
down.
don't think there's a limit on when you can go to the chancellor.
And get turned down again.
Well, I mean, Mr. Gray is sitting back here, he's the chairman of our beer board, and he can answer, Mr. Gray, do you mind standing up and answer, is there a waiting period? Is there anything that they have to do if they wanna come back in front of the beer board and then go in front of the chancellor if they don't like your decision?
No, we can go back in front of the beer board, we just have to reapply, pay the fees, reapply, get turned down again, and then petition to the chancellor.
Mr.
Go
Gray?
ahead.
Yeah, they can reapply to the beer board, that's not an issue with us. Of course, like he says, the stipulations are still the same, so he probably would be turned down by by the beer board, and I'm not aware of the length of time between, being able to take him in front of court, as a chairman of the beer board, which I think I was at the time he was in there, I'm not really sure. I know nothing about that, that's not the job of the beer board to give them advice, you know, for what they can do to get their beer license when they're there, you know. The 2,000 foot has certainly saved, you know, a couple of communities that would have had an unsavory sale of beer. You know, I think it's something that should be kept.
Gathering place.
I would imagine that if you drop that down, I don't know how many feet you're talking about, drop it down, but if you drop that down, you'd also open that field up between the Mexican place and his place there, the unsavory things coming in right there. You know, so.
Plus, we'd probably pick up some lawsuits along the way.
We as a county commission represent every person in this county. And you think there's a lot of people here tonight, you let us put it on there that we're gonna drop it to 500 foot or 1,000, and you watch those people come in here. We're trying to do what's best. We're trying to give you an avenue to get what you need. If you're not willing to go that avenue, then that's fine. But I'm speaking for myself. The 2,000 foot, I think it's where it needs to be. If we can find an avenue where you're able to sell beer, then I think that's wonderful as well.
Let me ask a couple questions. Could he, without going back through without going back through the beer board, go to the chancellor now?
My answer is, I don't know. That's a legal question. I have the policy, the regulation right here, and I'm just kind of looking through it. I don't see anywhere where it says there's a fixed amount of time that you have to get there. It just says any applicant who complies gets it. If they don't, if they want to sue, they go before chancery or circuit court. Must seek review for the circuit or chancery court before. I don't see anything about a time limit, but that's a legal question. I can't give legal advice, nor can the beer board give legal advice, nor will you ever find the county attorneys, whether it's the beer board attorney or the regular county attorney, giving legal advice to anyone outside of government. To go back through, I would certainly find out before I'd spend another $250, because that's what a beer permit application is, non-refundable, whether it's issued or not. That right, David? I think $250?
It is.
So before spending another $250, there's got to be some lawyers retired in Tellico Village that could give you some counsel on this. And I highly listen up, though. If you really want to fix everything in Tellico Village, incorporate the place. Not gonna happen tomorrow, but please put that on the list somewhere. Then you're not under any county regulations.
Well, my restaurant is not in Tellico Village. As soon as you turn on Ritchie Road, you hit
He's
the
in
county.
Loudon County.
I know where
So
you're
I
at.
am in the county.
I've done work on the building before.
When
I have a
is the
question.
last time
John,
you were turned
step
down?
up.
And
When's
I
the
hate
last
to bring
time you
this
were
up,
turned down?
but if an establishment that has a restaurant, food, etc., is able to have beer brought into it, and wine brought into it, and alcohol brought into it for people to eat, what's the difference between that and buying it from the establishment?
State law, BYOB, state law allows it, bring your own beer, whatever.
Why?
State law
What is the
allows it,
difference?
that's above
We don't
us.
agree with, I don't agree with that. I think it shouldn't happen.
I mean, if
But
you're
it's
gonna
state
have
law,
beer in
I
a
can't
restaurant,
change
and
that
somebody
state law.
gets drunk, it doesn't matter whether they bought it there or whether they brought it.
I agree 100%. I think it should be banned. But it's state law. I mean, I can't change that.
My village people here. Anybody know a lawyer that's retired in the village that can practice in the state of Tennessee?
I just gave him a name.
You did?
Same person who worked on the 501c3s for many organizations in the state, so we'll see if we can get him hooked up. So, can I just say something?
Go ahead, come on.
I think the issue is, as was said by Mr. Shaver, is we need to get the library undeemed as a place of public gathering, and everything is solved.
It's solved.
That comes out of the equation, nobody's hurt, the 2,000 feet
Absolutely.
is intact, everybody's
Absolutely.
happy. Just get that looked at and say, there's one place over here that does not talk about all the other libraries that are out there. This library is not a place of public gathering, it was only added because of that situation, and it's not in this situation, it's not public gathering. With all the information he provided, again, they're closed by 4 o'clock, and if you happen to have an evening gathering, they should have, if they're doing charity, they need to petition the state to get 4 charity events per year to sell beer, to do whatever. That's a whole different licensing, being a 501c3. That's different than this gentleman trying to run a business. So if we can work on getting that library off the list, then I think the problem's solved.
And if you all do get an attorney, I'll be more than glad to share everything I've got, 20 years worth of stuff right here, the court case, the Duke case, anything that you need that you think would help your cause. I'll be glad to share it with you.
Just like you said, that library that was deemed a place of public gathering had thousands of children.
That's right. That's right. That's the simplicity of it.
That is not this.
Children in this library ever, so who deemed it? Or they just all deemed
No.
automatically a place of public gathering?
Remember back, Nate said, I have this case where it was determined that a library was a place of public gathering. Okay, our beer board, once the attorney says there's case law for it, our beer board is they're gonna err to this side. They're gonna say, we're not gonna violate our 2,000-foot rule. If there's a library, then we have to consider that one the same until a competent judge somewhere says differently. So they did exactly what they needed to do. All you need is a judge to say, it doesn't apply to Tellico Village Library. And everybody's gold. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure a better way if we voted up here to change, but Chase said it eloquently.
What?
And yeah, it was, well, look how he's dressed. Gosh. He said it perfectly. I know this is not good for you all, but I can assure you, as he said, when this little lady puts in the paper, we're fixing to eliminate the 2,000-foot zone or make it 1,000, 12, 14.
Quote that, Van Shaver said it.
That you were eloquent. We will hear from more people. I mean, I can't even make y'all understand what it was like back here in the 90s when this was such a mess. This place was full, every beer board meeting was full, people were screaming and yelling. This has worked great. So we represent everybody, many parts of the county outside the cities like having the 2,000 feet.
You know, Van, you're probably right. If you have that lawyer,
Holy, probably.
well, I don't always agree with him, but if you have that lawyer call me, whoever's got the name, I'm in the directory. I think the argument probably could, even though it's a library, I can't argue that point, it's called a library. It closes at a certain hour when Larry opens. I'd like to talk to the judge on that and see if he could get it in front of Chancellor Williams, and not Williams, McFarland. McWilliams gone. So anyway, please have him call me.
Well, there is a 30-day application once you've been denied, so I would have to go back through the beer board again to get denied in order to meet that requirement.
I would make sure that's correct, because I've got the TCA and it doesn't say, it may be a judicial issue somewhere, it may be built within the court system, but it doesn't say that in the TCA. So, yeah, clarify that with an attorney. I don't know. All I can do is read this.
We'd have to ask him those questions.
Court procedures can be weird.
But I think that would be a avenue to get it done. Let's try that. We've gotten every other way and got the door slammed in our face. I know it wasn't Donna, but it was Rosie. Was that the restaurant?
Yeah.
Rosie's. That's when it lapsed. If it had gotten past to her, it would have been very easy. I've talked to the county attorney many times on that, and once it goes 6 months, it's over. But if we could get an attorney that would help us out and go in front of McFarland, I think that's an avenue that could work.
Your name has popped up several times as a possible friend request, so I'm sending it to you now. Facebook friend request just came through, so.
Okay, good.
We're not allowed to look at our phones. We can't look at our phones up here. We get written up in the social media.
I'll do it when I get home. Thank
Don't
you.
check it if it's your wife.
Oh, no. I've lost my phone. Here it is. Fine.
I'll work on that starting tomorrow, because I wanna see Larry get helped out. There's a man that put it on the line.
There are examples of allowing distance adjustments in that case where something was done, what they felt improper. So there are definite court cases in Tennessee that have allowed that activity.
The court can deem not a place of public gathering, they get a beer permit, 2,000 foot stays in, it's all good.
Gary, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before you move on, I want to thank Mr. Gray for taking his time for being here today. And I don't know the other gentleman.
That's, he's one of,
Mayor Telesco Village.
he's
That's
one
the
of
mayor of
Henry's buddies.
Malacca, that's.
And for being here today.
Hey, he could be the mayor if they had incorporated, he could be the mayor.
And I'll tell you what, I'd vote for him.
Yeah, so thank you all very, very much for being here.
And by the way, we put, when Snodgrass passed away, we put Ed on the beer board. I gave him one charge. Figure out how to get Larry a beer permit. What nasty comment did you make, Rick?
He said he hadn't done a very good job.
I said he hasn't
We can't hear you know that.
Ed, you get your performance review up front.
He's talking, he's back there talking.
Okay, Larry, I'm gonna look into that. We may have it, I don't know, I can't make you a promise one way or the other, but won't be the first time the doors got slammed in my face.
Mr. Chairman, while there's a break, I'm gonna make my exit.
No, you're not, real quick.
Oh, hang on.
Hurry, I got a 10-year-old about to,
I got a 5-year-old at home too.
I know I'm playing baseball.
Mine plays coach pitch. Just 2 seconds, 2 seconds. There's been a lot of complaints from staff and people visiting the internet.
I'm gonna reach out to.
So reach out to Carmichael and see what we can do.
Use your microphone.
Okay.
That's your request, you make the first contact
Yeah.
before we take any deeper.
I don't, like I said, I don't know what you do, but I'll try it.
Well, someone will come up with something.
He asked the mayor to reach out to Carmichael's Restaurant over here about their customers using our parking space for their business.
There's 12 slots on the street up there. I noticed when we come in, from the time you come off that little side road, I don't need you, go ahead. All the way down whatever that street is, there's 12 on-street parking spots. And then, of course, you've got the space right across the road under the bridge, it's just public parking. Well, the state, 5-minute break in.
You want a 5-minute break?
Argument over the under the bridge parking.
What?
The state argued a little about the under the bridge parking, but people still do it.
Thank you, Dave. When you and Chase get really your feet on the ground, Loudon City owes Loudon County $14,000. When they built the new bridge, they took the old parking lot and paid the county and the city an equal share of buying our parking lot. They never gave us our $14,000. Would you please see about getting that?
That's too long ago.
Oh, no. Oh,
There's more interest on it.
yeah, we're charging interest too.
Well, hey, bring that before city council.
Chase, hey, take care.
Got it.
All right.
Adam, you're up for.
Are we doing a break if people want to leave?
They're pretty well.
We'll take it.
I think they won't leave. You won't leave or not?
We
Yeah,
just,
they won't leave.
we'll give you 5 minutes.
Actually, the rule is, once you walk in, there's no leaving until the meeting's
We're
done.
almost done.
Well, the part that we participated in, we wanna leave.
Yeah. That's the way everybody is.
Why'd you wait till the very end to have a break? We only got 2 things to do. See, we need to start having this part of these meetings at the end. Everybody hang out and watch.
Hey,
thank y'all for coming. Hey, good to see you.
You leaving, Bill? You going too?
No.
Oh, I thought you was going, oh, that's right, you're McMinn County.
Yeah, we're in McMinn County. I can't make it.
You got a kid playing ball.
Bring it on.
Oh, powerful. It's gonna be perpetual fun. It's gonna be a government run center, that's where it's headed. Cause you can't do that. It just don't work. It won't work. But not without somebody giving them money. It needs to be able to generate money.
That's a good question.
Actually, his might take a minute if anybody's got any questions.
What, the parking
I
or
got
the
a bunch of
zoning?
questions.
Zoning.
Tony.
Do what?
I got a bunch of questions.
I ain't taking no more questions from you. I'm exhausted
I
from
got
the
all
last
kinds of
question.
questions.
I'm
Y'all get
exhausted.
comfortable.
Jason, can you get control of your meeting?
I think when,
I know, right?
I think when the beer
Give me a
board,
gavel.
if the beer board denies, I think they ought to be required to inform of their rights. You know, I know you don't
Yeah,
agree.
lay it
with
out
this,
for them. We denied you and this is why, and this,
and then you can do this and this and this if you don't agree with it.
Henry, I got a question while you guys are on break. The young lady mentions, Carmichael's has a liquor license.
Correct.
They're 100 feet from.
They're in the city.
City.
They're in Loudon City.
Oh, because the city does it?
yes, sir.
The cities can do their own thing within the county.
And they do their own thing.
But children need a little area, don't they? So you can't have beer
Well,
with
you
your
can't
kids.
even go to Cracker Barrel now.
I know.
They sell beer at Cracker Barrel.
Do they really?
Yeah, they just started.
I want the upper Hartland mention that earlier.
To me, I don't think so, it doesn't matter.
Now what you thought? I don't think you heard what I said. And give away liquor. And nobody over there doing I'm not gonna make it, I don't care what it's like.
I was gonna say, I don't think the county commissioners will be.
I don't know what to sell around the court. You can't give away alcohol, you can't sell alcohol without permit. So tell me what you say. I've heard that argument forever. I've heard it years ago. No.
You can talk to me all day long if you want to.
I hope you never have to experience that.
Oh, Nate.
Talking to him
The only thing
Candy bag, I don't even know who this
Well, if somebody pulled him $18,000. That's up to her.
That's up to her.
There we go. Somebody quoted him $18,000 legally, he needs to keep looking. Any attorney, that's $1,000. Believe me, I yeah.
The only hope I see.
Absolutely, and you can do chancellor or sergeant, chancellor.
We don't have any children, that place closed.
That's it. But what that does. Yeah, because if it gets turned down, there's nowhere else to go. Come here, Pills.
It's GRAY, isn't it?
Well, the guy at Ray's Kitchen, he's done, he can't back his church except for the hill, I don't care how short you make it.
I mean, just something somebody may want to mention, because it's very public when that happens. I'd never say or mention that. But it's a full-blown background check.
But again, remember the group.
Convoluted.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you one
Make him serve.
All right, I'll see you.
That would be
Henry.
that would test it, wouldn't it?
Uh-huh.
With friends like you, who needs enemies?
I'm telling you.
Okay, we got everybody back?
See what I said?
We're coming and going, we're on phones.
I don't know how we have a 3-minute break and each commissioner gets a separate 3 minutes, apparently.
I don't know.
Everyone's took their own.
Now let's each to call a recess and.
Adam's up next and he's
I
not
know.
here.
And he's not here.
I don't know where he went.
I'll go.
I didn't even see him leave.
Who?
Adam?
Come on, Adam.
You're up.
Just to be transparent, I was on the phone asking about my daughter's ball game.
Well, you need to tell that camera up there, because you was probably calling Adam, telling him what to do right now.
Adam, you're up.
I've been on the line with Joe Biden.
Selling some
On what to do
artwork.
with on what to do with my laptop here.
Adam, hang on, guys, we're gonna get started.
One thing I've been looking at for a while, and I've talked to some other commissions about here after workshops, and talked to Jim and Bob Bowman about it. It's kind of expanding our zoning. It was written back in the early '70s, it's never really been touched. There's an A1, an A2, and an R1. That's really all there is for residential in this county. So I've been working on some stuff, and we can look at a little bit more in May and vote to send it to the planning commission to review. But we have an A1, 2, and 3 that would spread out our zoning a little bit. So if A1 was 5 acre lots, A2 was 2.5, A3 was 1 acre lots. That would spread, give people more options what to do with the land. Also, if we had like an R2, that would allow us to move the multifamily into R2 for zoning, so it wouldn't all be, one all catch all. Also, I'm looking at a community and recreational zoning, so like for marinas and stuff, because right now marinas fall under R1, A1 or A2, where are marinas? Ag?
Yeah, I believe it's in the A.
So that's what we're looking at. I'll have some more stuff the first of May for us to go and then vote to send the planning to look at. Yeah, so I'll send an Excel or something I've been working on everybody here.
And this is good stuff, it really is. Like I said, from the early '70s where we adopted planning, we've just had the 3 different residential zones, and everything had to fit in that. So by expanding it out and making the ability to have multifamilies in R2?
R2s, yeah.
Single family R1, it's not changing, you're not changing any about the lot sizes or
No.
densities, or it's just getting a proper zone for it, so everything's just not lumped into 1 or 2 zones. I think it's real good sounding so far.
What are our surrounding counties doing?
Oh my gosh, they've got them going out to Yang, I mean, it's just,
Well, in Blount County and Maryville and Alcoa, there's no such thing as a setback. There's no such thing as per acre. They're building as many as they can get on a piece of property. Even you can raise your bedroom window and shake your neighbor's hand, kinda close. They are building full bore.
well, Bill, just on that point, please get the word to somebody in Greenback right now. In their planning, in their zoning regulations, they have an R2, it's R2, and it allows for 18 units per acre if there's sewer. Am I telling that right, Jim?
Sir, I'd have to read that.
I'm telling you right, 18 units per acre, that's Lenore City level stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And you all have a lot of sewer that's in the city now, all the way down Morganton Road in the city?
Comes to Greenback School.
Okay, and that's city limits, so going all the way down Morganton Road, isn't it?
Most of it on yeah.
On the sewer side. So somebody can land in there tomorrow and get an acre of land and put up 18 apartments, 18 condominiums, 18 townhomes. And I've got a feeling from what I've heard from Greenback, they don't like that idea. They better fix their zoning policy.
Well,
That's neither here nor there, but that's free right there.
yeah, I'd catch
Can we put you on the spot? What do you think about changing zoning and all of that?
Adding zoning, I mean, there's nothing wrong with adding zoning, it's just a matter of, looking at what you're creating.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna leave the same lot sizes, but it gives you an opportunity to maybe, if you have an R2, for example, you can reduce the allowable uses within that R2 zone, so it addresses what it is. And I don't have a problem with Commissioner Waller's idea on the A1 and you mentioned 5 acre lots.
Yeah.
I think the only issue I have is some logistics on, because we already have A1, A2, and lot sizes, we have a lot of properties already zoned that, so it's just a matter of how we word that and put it in.
Thank
I don't
you.
think it's a bad idea.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
some opportunity.
Adam,
Well, we need
Doesn't handle that.
plan.
Done.
How
okay.
it look like.
Aaron Rice, you're up.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I'll try to be quick so we can leave.
All in favor, say aye.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, so at the budget committee meeting, there was a consideration of recommendation to recommend regarding second district ARPA funds. Ms. Quillen and Mr. Jenkins are donating their $500,000 to the Public Fire Safety Training Building Project. I hope I captured all of it, in Lenore City.
That's
another-
$500,000 each, right?
Correct, yes. There was also a consideration of recommendation to approve funding on the courthouse for alternates, ballistic glass, and speakers at the counters to be funded from Fund 112, which is courthouse and jail maintenance. There was a consideration of recommendation regarding 4th District ARPA funds, which is Mr. Whitfield, for $10,000 to the Sheriff's Department Benevolent Fund. There was also a consideration of recommendation regarding 7th District, which is Mr. Cullen, for $10,000 to the Sheriff's Department Benevolent Fund. There was amendments in County General Fund 101. There was some line adjustments in multiple departments, in election, movement of office supplies to furniture, Sheriff's Department to adjust for the Governor's Highway Safety Grant, to add money to wages, but take it away from travel and law enforcement equipment, which the grant has already approved. An additional amount of the SRO reserve to be used in the current budget. In the health department, there was a line adjustment. In the senior center, it was a line adjustment. And there was a $90,000 increase to tax relief programs, which will come from fund balance. The courthouse alternates will be in Fund 112, which will be amendments there. There was amendments in ARPA funds to allow for these ARPA disbursements that I said previously. In the highway department, there was an adjustment to state aid revenue to increase it for the current year. There was $89,000 that's being taken from fund balance for a road repair. $12,000 is being moved from asphalt to gasoline. $3,500 is being moved from garage supplies to uniforms. And then there was an expense adjustment for the state aid and the 2% match that the county has to meet. And then there was amendments in the school funds, 141, 142, and 143. Done.
Good job.
Okay.
Aaron, a couple of things that need a little more expanding on. Did you want
The culvert, where's
culvert
$89,000?
repair?
I'll do it for 80.
In the highway department,
culvert,
$89,000.
Where is it?
Yeah,
Like, where was the repair?
yeah. Has it been done yet?
It was an emergency repair, that's all I was told.
Can you ask where, if it hasn't
You
been done
can,
yet?
you live right next door to him.
I do not.
3 houses down.
No, about 10.
I'm imagining it as some culvert of some size that enables you to cross a creek or small body of water.
That was falling down or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
How that not make Facebook?
I want to expand on a couple of them. Last month, the budget committee had recommended the improvements or the additional stuff at the courthouse. One of us did not vote for it then. Then when it came to us at our commission meeting, it was denied because we wanted more information. When the process, not only did we get more information, it went up $50,000 more by waiting a month to do it.
Inflation's a bad thing.
But it's remodeled some doors and stuff, but now it's also bulletproof glass. It's roll-up doors at the counters and just some things.
So wait a second. So where's the bulletproof glass?
It will be at the counters of the clerk's office and the Chancery Court's office.
And then where are the roll-up doors?
Behind the bulletproof glass.
Well, why do you need both?
I couldn't tell you. I have to take that up with those two people. That's just that. Is that not how y'all understood it? Roll-up doors behind. Now this is not Lexan. This is real live bulletproof glass. Gary?
I believe the bulletproof glass was there when you first come into the courthouse, where you'll first meet sheriff's patrolman.
It's in there. It's in there.
It's in front of them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
A lot of places
But
have
it's
that.
also in front of the sheriff's patrolman.
So it's in both places? So we have roll-up doors behind bulletproof glass.
Yes.
Well, that's idiotic.
Well,
I need an explanation on that one.
Did you approve
Usually they
it?
do it.
I got a budget, thank God.
I didn't. The budget committee did approve.
Okay.
Yeah.
you can't have bulletproof glass with speakers and, the holes in it where you can operate through and not have anything else, cause I might wanna walk by there and just throw a stink bomb underneath there or throw whatever in
Well,
there.
the question,
So they have to be secure. When business day's over, they close the metal door.
Well, then no one should be in the office anyways, it should be locked up.
I asked Steve, I said, this,
That's what I'm saying.
this is in the courthouse where you can't get in almost wearing clothes. Cause you have to go through the metal detector. Yeah, but if somebody took out the guard, we'd be setting ducks. I said, every building in the county would qualify for
I
that.
couldn't even wear my Fitbit in the court.
You
the
can't
other
wear
day.
nothing
I
in.
mean,
So anyhow, that was that one, and the other one, I wanna go back to Rosemary and Williams thing, just to make clear, I guess as much for the newspaper later on. There are conditions aren't really right. It's a step process, as they.
Guidelines.
There's a timeline on when the money will be released to Lenore City. It'll be a third at this juncture when they meet a certain criteria, and a third here, and a third here. So, nobody's just writing a check to the city. There's a process in place, and there will be an interlocal agreement between the county and the city that says the county will have access and use of the facility.
Yeah, them weren't.
When they're followed.
Yeah, well, kinda like don't annex them if it's outside the UGB, right?
who's writing that interlocal agreement?
I would assume Buddy will have to get, he got pointed at Aaron, but I heard you also.
You gonna write that?
Buddy will have to get Bob to do it.
Yes.
That's where it'll have to come from.
That's
And I think that's got to be way up here on the front end somewhere.
Yeah, that's, they've asked for that, or talked about that with the city also, just for Loudon City.
Is Loudon City gonna kick in $250,000?
They haven't talked to them the last I heard, so, but there's consideration, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. Motion to adjourn or anything else?
We just quit, we can't motion.
Okay.
Give an indication
cow.
to adjourn.
We're leaving.
Even nod.
Oh, and
Get
I
that
sent
camera
Billy a text to ask about the culvert.
The emergency culvert repair.
I bet it didn't have to be something
See, man?
Oak Chase Boulevard.
Oak Chase Boulevard, that'd be in my district, so it had to be important. If it's down here, I'd
Somehow I got pictures.
Let's go get our picks and shovels.